we did just finish the GIP4. It was voted on, and this is to allocate 10 million tokens to our bridge for Solana, and to get the Solana bridge going. So this will allow people to move GOD to Solana and interact in the Solana network. It will also allow deepins who are on Solana, who are going to use GEODNET as part of their product, to do the GEODNET burn with the Solana GOD. So it's going to facilitate, I think, the integration of GEODNET into other deepin projects. And we do see a growing number of deepin projects that are integrating GEODNET as part of their solution stack for trusted location and high accuracy location. So we're super excited about that. How that bridge works, we're going to tweet out an image here that shows how the GOD bridge to Solana works. And it is a two-way bridge, so you can go back and forth. It is built using the native token transfer protocol from Wormhole. And we have been working with this in testnet, and seems to be going well. David, maybe you want to talk a minute about the Solana token bridge.
Great. Yeah, it's a great chance to talk to you guys. So I'm glad that GIP being passed. Seems like the community is very interested in this. We majority of the voting for the approval of this proposal. So I will just briefly describe the way how it works. So our token GOD is in Polygon network, and it will be there, will be not touched. And we will expand our tokens into other blockchains. And some of you may already know that we have a presence in LTEX. The Solana will be our next big steps, because Solana is a big blockchain. They have a much larger community. So the idea or the technology behind this, we will deploy smart contracts, additional smart contracts in Polygon networks and also Solana networks. They are served as an agent. So basically, when there was a smart contract in Polygon, you can deposit your GOD into, and that specific smart contract will detect your, hey, this, I know this wallet address A deposit 100 token into this smart contract, and it will pass that message into the Wormhole network while using the Wormhole NTT technology. So the Wormhole network is a decentralized witness chain. So you will witness that this 100 GOD tokens being deposited into this smart contract. So it will, with some cycles, maybe 300 cycles or 300 blocks, to make sure there is no rollback, make sure it's completely being done. And we'll send the transaction to the Solana network. And we will have another smart contract deployed, or a set of smart contracts in Solana network. And that network will detect the signal from the Wormhole witness. It then will issue the new GOD token, or we can call it wrapped GOD token in Solana, to your specified wallet address. So this is how down from you sending 100 GOD token in Solana, in Polygon networks, and then on the other side, after certain cycles, your wallet address will receive the 100 wrapped GOD tokens in Solana network. If you wanna switch back, it's also the same. You deposit your GOD token in Solana network into certain smart contract we will provide. We'll provide this web interface, so you can deposit your GOD token or deposit your wrapped GOD token in Solana network. So the other way is the same. You deposit your wrapped GOD token and wait for some cycles, and your wallet address on the other side will receive the same amount. So it's automatic, it's decentralized, it's everything based on smart contract. So hopefully that will be not a, I think the only thing is like you need to wait some cycles for it to be used on the other side. Back to you, Mike.
Great. Thanks for that explanation, David. And I think at this point, before we dive into the GIP4, if there are any questions on that or any concerns, feel free to jump on stage and ask before we move on to the mobile app ecosystem that we're developing.
For those who want to ask questions during the AMA, you can request to speak by clicking the microphone icon at the bottom of your screen.
All right. In Verde jumped on to the stage. And is connecting. Let's see here. Good morning.
Hello. Can I ask you if we can keep our GEOD tokens on IOPay?
Yes, I mean the IOPay integration is done and has been there for a while, and I think there's activity there. It's not huge, but definitely you can keep your tokens on IOPay. I think that David, correct me if I'm wrong. That's been working for some time now.
Yeah, it's been working. It's mostly on the Tax network.
Okay, I thought you will migrate to Solana and we will lose our tokens.
No. We're building a bridge so you can go back and forth between the GOD on Solana and the GOD on Polygon. And you currently can go back and forth between the GOD on IOTEX and the GOD on Polygon. So the IOTEX integration was done first. It was done a while ago. And I think that's given us confidence that cross-chain is a good way to go. And you'll see we're doing more things with IOTEX in the coming months. We have some work that's going to go on with deeper integration into some of their apps and ecosystem, and that's part of what the GIP4 is about. So does that help? Any further question on that? I assume not. So we'll move on to. So we've been building out a capability to have mobile apps that interact both with specific GNSS devices as well as directly with phone hardware and utilize the GEODNET network. And the first thing that we want to kind of unveil in this AMA, and we've been actually out testing also with some other deepened projects, is a device that we have named now after a name study, GeoPulse. And GeoPulse will be, it is a piece of hardware that goes on your car. It can go on your dashboard or on your roof, and it will provide you the most accurate car navigation GPS signal in the world today at a consumer level anyway. It'll be a $149 device that will feed into our mobile app, which we're calling GeoPulse as well as other mobile apps, whether deepened networks, as well as traditional mobile apps like Google Maps and Waze. Anything that really uses location on the phone can get the location from the GeoPulse, and the GeoPulse provides a massive improvement in navigation accuracy and will work better in downtown environments as well as in tunnels and places where traditionally a phone GPS doesn't perform well. The APP provides the information to allow that device to connect to the GEODNET network, and again, is really providing what you would call a survey-grade professional accuracy GPS receiver to anyone who needs better accuracy in their car navigation. So we think there's certainly a market for this within the deepened community. But there's also a major market within drivers and within fleets. And so we've been engaged in that. We've gotten some product feedback and made some iterations on it in terms of that. But that device is now really coming into view here. And the corresponding element to that is it's going to be our first, I think, foray into a whole mobile app ecosystem around GEODNET. The device itself will launch with the GeoPulse app. This app will allow you to kind of bridge the device onto the GEODNET network, as well as do some quests. So the quest aspect of it is as a utility that will prove out coverage of the GeoDNet network in all the different hexes. So we do have a lot of people using it, but and we can kind of figure out where we have coverage directly from the stations. But people always like to see the proof. Hey, can I get a fix here? Can I get a fix there? Where that is. So when you connect the GeoPulse app to the GeoPulse device, your phone will upgrade to the centimeter accuracy capability, and you'll also, as you go through hexes, you will earn a one-time airdrop in each of the unique hexes that you prove RTK coverage. So to prove RTK coverage, you have to get to the RTK fixed status. That's the centimeter accurate level, and you can only earn that once per hex. So the first hex you get RTK fix in, there'll be in a reward, probably about 60 GOD. The second, something like 20. And then after that, it'll be much smaller. But each unique hex that you're able to, each unique GeoDNet hex that you're able to get the RTK fix in and prove the centimeter accuracy is there in that specific location, you get a small reward from. So we're excited about that, and the point of the GIP4 proposal is to enable that to happen. So we can't make this happen without going through the governance process, and the GIP4 allocates a set of token rewards, a total of 10 million token rewards to support the app ecosystem. There are only a small portion of the rewards will be used for this GeoPulse app. We're also doing integration with other mobile apps, and so we're reserving some of those. We have a big announcement at Token 2049 that's upcoming around another mobile app, another class of mobile apps. I don't even want to get into what that class is on this AMA, but there's a whole other class of mobile apps that like to use location, that need precision and need proof of location, and that partnership is with an existing app provider that is in the marketplace for these types of apps, and where a good portion of these tokens in GIP4 would be allocated to that partner as well, that has a reach in the tens of millions of installs already for their app. So GeoPulse and the other app partners, we want to get people they need to get some tokens initially when they connect to GeoDNet to be able to use the service. Using the GeoDNet service requires having GOD token and burning GOD tokens. So we need some tokens to kind of bootstrap that process. And then we want to, obviously make these experiences engaging. So the rewards process does, I think, get people engaged, get people involved in that. So there's a need to have some tokens for that, I think, bootstrapping of this app ecosystem around the GeoDNet network. And so for that, that's really the core of the GIP4, is to allocate 10 million tokens to the mobile app ecosystem. Some of those will be for this first GeoPulse. Some of them will be for this other partner that we'll launch with in Token 2049. Some of it will be for the IoTex. We've kind of laid that out in the GIP. But that token allocation to bootstrap the mobile app ecosystem should last for the full duration of our bootstrapping process, the mobile app ecosystem. So they'll be given out over the next 1 to 2 years. So this isn't like, oh, we're going to turn around and push all these out in the next few months. It's really there for the long-term incentivization of people to build apps on top of the GeoDNet network, both with third-party devices as well as direct apps that directly use the GeoDNet network from the mobile phone, particularly on Android, where you can really do some amazing things directly on the phone. And with respect to Android, our first Android app we expect to drop would be for the Solana phone. There was some feedback that we received. Hey, why, everybody who uses the Solana Saga, they get these airdrops and they just dump them. So we saw that feedback from the community, and we're taking that into account. But overall, I think that the Saga is a really exciting, foray for the crypto community to get, have a platform that is outside the iOS and Android App Store constraints, which are numerous and rather draconian. So we want to support that. We do want to see if we can bring additional utility to the Solana Saga ecosystem and see if we can do our small part to help bootstrap a third-party crypto-native alternative to the Google Play and Apple App Store. And what we found in our testing is the Saga device, the first generation Saga device, is actually quite a good fit for the GEODNET network. We see all the raw data that we need to do RTK processing on the phone. And then the second generation phone that's being worked on, we've had a good collaboration with the team there, and the chip that's going in there for the GPS is really well suited for the GEODNET network. So I think we can do special things on that phone, and it's worth dedicating some resource to producing an app and incentivizing an app that is very specific to that platform. So I do get that a lot of people buy that phone for just the airdrops and dump them, but our app does, when you use geolocation in an app, you have to go out and do things. You can't just turn it on and get your airdrop. You actually have to go out and do a quest. You have to physically move, get to a place. So I think that engagement will be more significant than just a straight up airdrop. So understand that criticism, but overall, I think building up mobile phone use cases for the GEODNET network is something that was never possible before in the high precision ecosystem. It's something that GEODNET uniquely enables, and we should really go after it, as I think the market is quite potentially huge for that, right? It's a no barrier to entry type of marketplace, really low barrier to entry to get in and get people onto the network. So in terms of just sheer number of users, that is something that it's really hard to think of a parallel that's any bigger than mobile apps. Anybody with questions on the GIP4?
There are a few questions from the Discord community. One is from Sedge Boy. So he asked, do we need GeoNet subscription to use the Pulse app for navigation and quests?
You do, but when this airdrop is going to provide that initial tokens to provide that coverage, so that's part of the purpose of this airdrop thing is to sort of bootstrap that, and those so you won't have to go out and manually. It's sort of bundled into the device, and those. So don't worry about like trying to having to sign up initially. That is just sort of bundled with the hardware and with the application is those tokens to cover that. FOMO Sapien, hey, you want to jump on and ask a question?
Okay. You
yeah.
there?
Great to hear your voice.
Okay, great. Yeah, good to speak to you. Going back to the earlier what you were talking about with the Solana integration, will the Geo tokens still continue to be mined over the Polygon network?
Yes, that is the near-term plan. The first place that you would sort of quote mine a token, and we keep calling it an airdrop, but it really isn't a classic airdrop. It really is kind of a hybrid validation mining process. So the first place you would natively get a Solana token would be through, say, like the Solana D app that we're doing, or if you offloaded it off the GeoDNet Pulse app to your Solana wallet. But the core, currently, at least initially, the mining process will be on the Polygon, and then you would manually transfer it over the bridge. And then over time, we can make it so that if you want to directly put in the console your Solana address, it could directly mine the tokens into the Solana network. So that's that's our thoughts. What would you like to see? It's a great question, and it's something that we can definitely take some input on as well.
If it's possible to have that token issued over directly, natively over the Solana network, if that's ever an option, that would be great. Like for us, we've got a lot of RTK stations throughout the Midwest, and so we're receiving those over Polygon, but the liquidity Solana has, that network is a lot better. So if that's ever an option to receive those tokens over the Solana network natively, that'd be great.
Okay, well, that's great feedback. David, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, issue the token natively in the in the Solana. We want to say it's natively, but it's possible. So basically, in the future, we could, when you claim your mining tokens, you could specify which network to choose to receive your token. But that's beyond the GIP3, because we have allocated 10 million tokens for the GIP3. If we want to add a feature in console, so you can select network to receive your tokens, we probably need more allocation. So we'll probably need another proposal so that you can get native tokens from Solana side.
Great, thanks, David. Yeah, I think that what's just step by step, as I always say. So if that looks to be like a popular thing, we will definitely throw a GIP app for it and enable that. I think that over time, if we see more and more liquidity and more people interested in the Solana ecosystem, I think that will create a steady migration to that platform. It's sort of we think of it as a bit of a market-driven process. We do not have a strong opinion on it. As long as the blockchain technology works well, we will use it. And as long as it helps pull in more business for the network, we will go with that. So that's great. Thank you, David, for that. Yeah, question. Can we Zoe, can we let these other folks speak?
I've enabled everyone to speak. I think you just need to unmute yourself.
Go for it. Yeah, just jump in. Don't be shy.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Hey, Omar. Yes, I can.
Do you have any info on the app development on iOS?
Yeah, so we are developing the GeoPulse app on both Android and iOS. iOS will come a little bit later, but that will work. Where we struggle with iOS is if you want to do without any hardware. So if you want to do precise positioning on iOS without any hardware, and use the phone's GNSS engine, we don't currently have a solution for that because the raw data that we need to do the processing is not available openly through the iOS API, whereas it is in Android. So we can get what's called code carrier and Doppler measurements. These are the raw GNSS measurements. We can get those openly on Android, and that allows us to do our special magic. And those are just not available in iOS. So for the moment, iOS will require like the third-party hardware, like this GeoPulse receiver. Now that receiver is inexpensive, and it provides some incredible benefits for you because it will always work better than your phone receiver. It's really a very high quality antenna and receiver that we believe will be the best consumer car navigation device created to date in terms of accuracy.
So the GeoPulse would work with Apple?
Yes, the GeoPulse hardware will work with iOS. Yes.
Thank you, Mike. If we have the GeoPulse hardware and I do connect with, let's say, CarPlay, will I have higher accuracy, let's say, with Google Maps?
Yes, that is the plan. We do have to get MFI approval for that, so there's still a few more steps in development. Like we've got the hardware partners, got the hardware done. We've got the basic app framework. In order to replace the position on across the whole iOS platform, we can do it. And so that would let you use that position in Google Maps on CarPlay. In order for that to happen, though, we have to get MFI approval. So that's another little hoop. iOS is very good at making you jump through hoops. But that works. We already have, like, Bad Elf, which is a partner of GEODNET, sells survey receivers. Their device is MFI. They've already gone through that. So the Pulse device needs to get through that MFI, and then that'll work like a charm. And I think that's going to be very popular for professional users, or semi-professional and professional people who are driving. It's going to provide some real utility to them. But great question.
Great, thank
For you. Android, just to put it by contrast, for Android, you can replace the position on the phone just through a couple clicks of the button. You enable a thing that's called mock location on there, and you can do it without any permissionlessly, so to speak, to use crypto language. But for the iOS ecosystem, that's a permissioned process. We believe there shouldn't be no reason we can't get all that permission. We just have to go through their hoops, which just takes a short bit of time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. You bet. Lucas, please jump in.
Oh, hi, Mike. Can you hear me?
Yep. And I can hear your friends too.
Oh yeah. I am a big fan of your project, and I have a question about the GeoPulse app and GeoPulse receiver. So first, GeoPulse app, as far as I understand, it will enable me to have decimeter accuracy in my smartphone. But when I plug GeoPulse receiver, then I will have centimeter level of accuracy. Yes.
Yeah, you'll have centimeter to decimeter accuracy just depending on how close you are to the base station. So when you use the GeoPulse receiver, you will, if you're in good coverage of GeoDNet, you'll have centimeter accuracy. Decimeter would only be sort of like when you're at the edge of hexes or in an area that doesn't have GeoDNet service coverage. The other place where you'd only get sort of decimeter or type of performance would be if you're using the repeater function. So you have this device has this repeater antenna. The repeater antenna then can provide GPS to things like a dash cam that may not be connected to the phone at all, or may not be connected to the GeoDNet ecosystem at all. It will improve the accuracy of that dash cam's GPS. That function doesn't get the full benefit of the RTK, but whenever you're using our app, and once we get the MFI certification, then everything on your phone will have that centimeter performance.
Okay, so how the receiver will be connected with GeoPulse app, via Bluetooth or via cable, USB-C?
Yeah, Bluetooth.
Okay.
On Android, we can potentially support having it connected by cable as well, over USB-C. But I think the method we've been testing and the method we've been focused on is the Bluetooth, and it seems to work fine. So I think that we're going to launch primarily with it connected with Bluetooth. And then if there are fleet applications, others that need to do it over USB or want to do it over a wired connection, we can support that as well.
And last one, when we will be able to buy it, the receiver?
That will launch by token 2049. We're not a big, we're trying to make sure we have basically the supply chain all lined up so that, when we launch it, it won't be a super long lead time type of thing. But for sure by token 2049.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Hi, Mike. Sorry, can you hear me, guys?
Yes. Good to see you, Mark.
Just a quick question. The revenue from this Pulse hardware will also be used to burn tokens, or is it going to be separate?
Yeah. So the GOD the subscription that will come with it will burn GOD. That is correct. And okay. as those tokens run out for that, then they'll have to be replenished to continue to use the thing after a year. So, or at least to get the centimeter accuracy. And certainly all the professional people that we're going to be interacting with around this device, we do think it's going to have a very good Web 2 marketplace. That those will all require subscriptions and burn GOD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and do you see this being more popular amongst B2B or like the business customers or consumers, like private people?
I think the consumer market that's part of why we want to do the GIP4 is we kind of want to help have the crypto market help us prove out consumer use cases for it. And I think it will that can emerge, but it'll take a little bit of time to figure out, where it can provide the most benefit to consumers. Is it sort of AR driving? Is it car navigation? How do we pitch that, and how do we do that? So that's part of why I think working with the deep and crypto ecosystem can help kind of bootstrap that. Definitely on the professional side, we do see use cases, and we think the device is going to be super popular on the professional use case side. We're actually going to end up with an even higher end model, so there'll be this base $149 model. There will be a second model that is even fancier, that will address some of the professional use cases we know. So for sure that will be there. I don't think those people will necessarily be trying to drive for the hex rewards or anything like that. They'd just be using it purely as a kind of fleet-oriented professional GPS device to address a low-cost way to get better position reliability and for their drivers. So for sure.
Awesome, thank you.
You bet. David, you want to jump in?
In general, hi, it's David Wallen. Sorry I took so long.
No problem.
In general, questions about GIP with like this one involving software development and also hardware development. Would any developments just be parceled or organized underneath GIP4.1, .2, for public? Decentralized voting or any kind of follow-up?
I think that in theory we could do that. It just seems like the attention span. We think that from our point of view, from the foundation point of view, we think building mobile app use cases around the GEODNET network is something that GEODNET can be the first in this high precision world. It hasn't really been done before. High precision location has always been B2B enterprise, pretty heavy duty products. Your drone, your robot, your deeply integrated into the very high end of the car market now. Several of the models of cars are using a high precision GNSS services now, for example, like the GM Super Cruise type of things. But these are very deep integrations. It hasn't been, just download an app and you can go do it. So we think that's very, very valuable to promote the GEODNET protocol. And so from our perspective, like just getting a bucket of tokens that we will wisely allocate slowly over the course of a year or two to promote that ecosystem, it seems like something that, from my perspective, I'd like to think about once, get voted on once, and then go out and implement. Whereas if we break it down into a bunch of different smaller GIPs and have voting on each one, I just think it's a bit exhausting for everybody. You got to vote multiple times. So unless you think there's a really compelling argument to sort of piecemeal it out, I would say, look, 10 million tokens. It's it is a significant amount. It's 1% of the total tokens, and it's 10% of the ecosystem pool. But I think it's for a very important cause, and we would like to just push forward with one GIP for the mobile app ecosystem and use that amount of tokens over the next 12 to 24 months to incentivize app adoption of GEODNET. Any thoughts on that, David? Any feedback on that?
I think it's been great to see how you've taken it step by step, and I think it makes sense. Don't want people to see it as an opportunity like blood in the water for sharks to just argue over something when it can just be the major effort. And if there's a big problem, create another GIP.
Yep, exactly. If we need to fix that, we could always do that. Yep. Super. Thank you for your feedback, David.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Mike, I'm not clear on the payment. I get it, the device costs $149, and then some have said there is no subscription. You said it gets it gets bundled into the device, and then there's others that are saying that afterwards you will be paying something. So how does that actually work? Thanks.
Yeah, so what you're going to get 1 year with the device, and I think what we can do as a follow up is post on Twitter and Discord exact kind of mechanics of all of this, because I do think it raises some questions. We've just been moving quick to get this thing working, and I think we should try to articulate the mechanics, all the exact mechanics of how both people in the Deepin ecosystem and others will pay for that subscription beyond the first year. And so let's take that as an action item. But I appreciate you asking for further clarification.
Yes, sir. David, again, can you just briefly speak to, I guess this is, if you're using Google Maps, you would need to deal with them on privacy, and this device would have its own inherent privacy, I'm pretty sure. I just wanted you to speak on that.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I have no idea what Google Maps does on privacy. I can't imagine it's too great. I think the device itself, yeah, it does. When you are using it, you are connected to GeoDNet, so you are sharing proximate location of the receiver with the GeoDNet network. So that is true. That's just part of how the RTK process works. So that is something to be aware of. I guess we need to probably communicate that clearly. Shadow Friend, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do actually. I was wondering, I did watch your presentation at the Real World earlier this year in ETH Denver, and IoTech sponsored that event. Also, IoTech is a blockchain that facilitates what you guys are trying to do through Deepin. So I was wondering why you guys didn't deploy on IoTech instead of from Polygon to Solana instead of IoTech.
Well, we already maybe you missed the first part of the AMA, but so we already do have a smart contract on IoTex. You can use the MIMO, and you can hold the GOD and IoTex. So GOD is deployed in IoTex today. You can get that token through the MIMO MIMO protocol, and use the IOPay. And part of this GIP actually is that we're going to allocate some tokens to additionally further collaborate integrations between GeoDNet and IoTex. So that relationship is ongoing strong. IoTex has been super helpful for GeoDNet as an ecosystem partner, and we're continuing to build on that relationship.
That's awesome to hear. Thanks for taking my question, Mike.
No problem. Great to hear you. So I think we tweeted out, I haven't checked Twitter, a couple more things on the GeoPulse device to take a look at it, and we're excited about it. I think it is coming along quickly, and it is really brand new. I mean, I don't think there's anything close to it in terms of consumer price point GPS device that you can get in terms of capabilities. So we'll be excited to see how we can how markets develop around that. It's kind of a brand new capability. Super. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we'd like to move the things along. So we'll open up the GIP4 for voting. We'll share that socially, and if anything other questions come up, we'll answer them on the fly. But hopefully, we can get that GIP4 through the process. We're pretty excited about it. We do want to make a big splash around this at Token 2049, and we do need to get it through governance to make that happen. Super. Well, Zoe, any closing comments on your side?
Just want to say a big thank you for to everyone who have provided feedback on GIP3. We innovated our proposals and then improve that, and then we are here with GIP4 AMA. Really appreciate the community feedback, and if you could provide us with more feedback on how you'd like to run AMA, how is your experience with Xspace, we'd love to hear it. And thank you, Mike. Thank you, David, for the discussion, and thank you everyone for being here with us.
Cheers. Yep. Let us know in Discord if you like this format better or the Discord one. We've had some technical issues with Discord, so This is a little more interactive, and it's great to hear people's voice. So just let us know your thoughts. This is our first try on an XSpace, first ever GeoDNet XSpace. So we're definitely novices, and we like to see if this is something that we should try to get better at. Thanks again, everybody, and talk to you all soon.
GEODNET, mind the sky.